They revealed the first two, but the third, locked away for decades. Why would the Vatican, one of the most powerful religious institutions in history, keep silent about a prophecy said to be delivered directly by the Virgin Mary? A message so urgent, so unsettling, that some claim even popes wept upon reading it. What could possibly be so dangerous that the Church feared the world wasn't ready? Welcome to Mythical Lullabies. Tonight, we slip into the shadows of the Vatican's most guarded secrets, where whispers of divine warnings echo through marble halls. Picture yourself standing before the Apostolic Archive, its ancient doors sealed tighter than a pharaoh's tomb. The air smells of old parchment and candle wax, and somewhere deep inside, a single document holds answers that could shake the world. You're about to step into a mystery that's been hushed up for over a century, and, let's be real, you probably won't survive the suspense. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Drop a comment with your location and local time. I'm curious where you're listening from. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're standing in Rome, the eternal city, where the Tiber River glints under a moonlit sky. The year is 2025, but your mind drifts to 1917, when 3 shepherd children in Fatima, Portugal, claimed to see something extraordinary. The Vatican, though, isn't just a city of saints and statues, it's a fortress of secrets. Deep within its walls lies the Vatican Apostolic Archive, a labyrinth of shelves stretching over 50 miles, holding documents so sensitive that even most cardinals can't access them. You imagine yourself sneaking past Swiss guards, their halberds gleaming, as you hunt for one particular file, the Third Secret of Fatima. This isn't some Dan Brown novel, this is real, and the Church has kept this prophecy under lock and key for decades. Why? What's so terrifying that it's been hidden from you, from the world? Let's rewind. In 1917, 3 kids, Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta, were tending sheep in a sleepy Portuguese village. They weren't scholars or mystics, just ordinary children, yet they claimed the Virgin Mary appeared to them, radiant and sorrowful, delivering messages of divine importance. These visions, later called the Secrets of Fatima, weren't just bedtime stories. They became a global phenomenon, drawing pilgrims and sparking debates that still rage today. The first 2 secrets were revealed in the 1940s, but the third, that's where things get murky. The Vatican sealed it away, and even when they finally released a version in 2000, many cried foul, saying it was incomplete. You can't help but wonder what's in that prophecy that's so dangerous. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, formerly known as the Secret Archive, isn't a myth. It's a real place established in 1612 by Pope Paul V, housing everything from papal bulls to Galileo's trial records. Only a handful of scholars get access, and even they need special permission. Somewhere in there, among millions of pages, lies the original text of the Third Secret, written by Sister Lucia, the eldest of the Fatima children. You picture her, a young girl in a white headscarf, scribbling down words she swore came from heaven. But why hide them? Historians still argue whether the Church feared mass panic or something even darker, like a prophecy that challenged its own authority. You creep closer to the archive's entrance in your mind's eye. The air grows colder, the shadows deeper. You're not alone. Conspiracy theorists, theologians, and curious souls like you have been chasing this secret for decades. Some say the prophecy predicts the end of the world. Others claim it exposes corruption within the church itself. A quirky tidbit floats through your thoughts. In the 1980s, a rogue priest named Father Malachi Martin, who claimed to have read the secret, hinted it involved fire from the sky. Spooky, right? But he never spilled the full beans, leaving you with more questions than answers. You smirk, typical Vatican drama, always keeping you guessing. Now picture the Vatican in the 1950s. Popes were opening Lucia's letters, one by one. The first two secrets, revealed during World War II, spoke of hell, war, and Russia's rise. Grim stuff, but the Church shared them, framing them as calls to prayer and repentance. The third, though, stayed locked in a safe. You imagine Pope Pius XIII, his face pale, reading it in a candlelit room. Did he tremble? Did he pray? The Church said it would reveal the secret in 1960 as Lucia claimed the Virgin instructed. Spoiler alert. They didn't. You roll your eyes. Classic move, Vatican, promising transparency, and then ghosting the world. Let's pause for a second. You're probably thinking, okay, but why should I care about some old prophecy? Fair question. The Fatima secrets aren't just dusty relics, they've shaped modern Catholicism. Millions of pilgrims still flock to Fatima's shrine, clutching rosaries and hoping for miracles. The prophecy's secrecy fuels distrust, making you wonder if the Church is protecting you or itself. You lean back, the hum of your fan blending with the distant chime of St. Peter's bells in your imagination. The archive's doors loom larger now, and you're itching to know what's behind them. You take a deep breath, the scent of incense lingering in your mind. The third secret isn't just a document, it's a symbol of faith, fear, and power. The Vatican's silence has turned it into a Rorschach test. Everyone sees what they want in it. Apocalyptic doom. A warning about rogue AI, okay, maybe not. That last one, but you get the point. You chuckle softly. Humans love a good mystery, don't we? It's like the Church knew withholding it would keep us hooked, like a cliffhanger. In a Netflix series, as you stand before the archive, you feel the weight of history pressing down. The Vatican has survived empires, wars, and scandals, yet this, one prophecy has rattled its core. You're not a theologian, but you don't need to be to sense something big is at play. The third secret, whatever it says, has the power to make popes weep and pilgrims pray. And you're just a curious soul, chasing truth in the dark. The archive's doors creak open in your mind and you step inside, ready to uncover what the Vatican has hidden for so long. You're no longer outside the Vatican's Apostolic Archive. You've slipped inside, your footsteps echoing on the cold marble floor. The air is thick with the musty scent of ancient manuscripts, and shelves tower above you, stuffed with secrets that could rewrite history. But you're not here for Galileo's trial notes or some medieval pope's grocery list. Your eyes are fixed on one thing, the third secret of Fatima, a prophecy so potent the Church buried it for decades. You're chasing the moment it all began back in 1917 when 3 kids in a Portuguese field saw something that would shake the world. You smirk, kids of all people. Leave it to the Virgin Mary to pick the least likely messengers. Picture Fatima, Portugal, a sleepy village where the biggest drama was a stray goat. It's May 13, 1917, and you're trudging through the Cova da Iria, a rocky pasture dotted with olive trees. The sun beats down, and you're sweating through your imaginary peasant smock. 3 children, Lucia dos Santos, 10, and her cousins Francisco and Jacinta Marto, 9 and 7, are herding sheep. They're not exactly theology majors, they're illiterate, dirt-smudged, and probably dreaming of lunch. Then a flash of light stops them cold. You squint, shielding your eyes. Above a small holm oak tree, a woman appears, glowing brighter than the sun. She's draped in white, her face serene but sad, like she's carrying the weight of the world. "Don't be afraid," she says. You roll your eyes, easy for her to say. This is the first of 6 apparitions happening monthly until October. The Virgin Mary, or Our Lady of the Rosary as she calls herself, gives the kids 3 secrets. You're itching to know what they are, but let's focus on the scene. The kids are terrified, yet mesmerized. Lucia, the boldest, speaks to the Virgin, while Francisco and Jacinta hang back, wide-eyed. The Virgin's message is urgent. Pray the Rosary, repent, save souls. You can almost hear the wind rustling the oak leaves as she speaks, her voice soft but commanding. The kids nod, promising to obey. You chuckle. Imagine being a kid tasked with saving humanity. No pressure, right? Now let's ground this in history. The apparitions happened during World War I, when Europe was a blood-soaked mess. Portugal was neutral but struggling, its people poor and devout. The Catholic Church was a lifeline, and miracles were taken seriously. By the 3rd apparition, word spread, and crowds started showing up, thousands by October. On October 13, 1917, the miracle of the sun sealed Fatima's fame. Witnesses, including skeptics, swore the sun danced in the sky, spinning like a fiery pinwheel before plunging toward Earth. You raise an eyebrow, mass hallucination or divine flex. Historians still argue whether it was a meteorological quirk or a genuine miracle. Either way, it put Fatima on the map. You're back in the Cova da Iria, watching the kids kneel in prayer. The Virgin's visits aren't just light shows, they're warnings. She speaks of hell, war, and a mysterious conversion of Russia. You're not a time traveler, but you feel the weight of her words, like storm clouds gathering. The kids don't fully grasp it. Jacinta's probably just worried about her sheep, but they're obedient. Lucia, the only one who'll survive, to adulthood becomes the keeper of the secrets. You picture her, small and serious, clutching a rosary like it's a lifeline. A quirky tidbit pops into your head. Locals initially thought the kids were making it up, and their own parents grilled them like they'd stolen cookies. Kids, right? Always stirring up trouble. Let's zoom out. The Fatima visions weren't just a local oddity, they became a global obsession. The church, cautious but intrigued, sent investigators. By 1930, the apparitions were declared worthy of belief. A rare Vatican stamp of approval. You smirk, bureaucracy, even for miracles. The kids' lives, though, weren't all halos and hymns. Francisco and Jacinta died young, victims of the 1918 flu pandemic, their tiny bodies laid out in simple wooden coffins. Lucia joined a convent, living until 2005, a silent guardian of the secrets. You wonder what it was like for her, carrying that burden. Did she ever want to spill the tea? You're still in the archive, your fingers brushing imaginary parchment. The Fatima story feels alive, like the Virgin's glow still lingers. But you're not here for warm fuzzies. The 3rd secret, the one the Vatican hid, is what drives you. The first 2 secrets, revealed in the 1940s, were grim but straightforward, visions of hell and predictions of World War II. The 3rd, though, was different. Lucia wrote it down in 1944, sealed it, and said it shouldn't be opened until 1960. You lean forward, pulse quickening. Why 1960, and why did the Vatican ignore her instructions? You're tempted to skip ahead, but you stay focused. This is about the visions, the kids, the moment it all began. The Cova da Iria fades, replaced by the archive's dim glow. You're piecing it together. 3 kids, a glowing lady, and a prophecy that scared the pants off the church. You chuckle softly. Leave it to Catholics to turn a sunny field into a cosmic drama. The Virgin's warnings feel distant, yet urgent, like a siren in the fog. You're not sure what's creepier. The idea that she predicted the future, or that the Vatican thought you couldn't handle it. The archive's silence presses in, and you know the answers are close. You just need to keep digging, one secret at a time. You're still in the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, the air heavy with the scent of aged leather and secrets. Your fingers itch to flip through forbidden files, but you're not chasing random gossip about Renaissance popes. You're here for the Third Secret of Fatima, the one the Church locked away like a cursed artifact. To understand why it's hidden, you need to know what came before, the first two secrets that shook the world. You're back in 1917 in Fatima's dusty fields, but now it's the 1940s and the secrets are starting to spill. You smirk, nothing says divine message like a decades-long tease. Picture yourself in wartime Portugal, 1941. World War II is raging, and Lucia dos Santos, now a nun in her 30s, is hunched over a desk in a convent. Her pen scratches. Paper, recording the Virgin Mary's words from 24 years ago. The first two secrets, shared with the Church, but only now made public, are bombshells. You lean in as if you can peek over her shoulder. The first secret? A vision of hell. You imagine it. A fiery pit, souls writhing, demons cackling like they're auditioning for a horror flick. Lucia describes it vividly, burning torment, screams echoing forever. The kids, just 10, 9, and 7, saw this nightmare and somehow didn't run screaming. You shudder, talk about trauma no amount of sheep herding could fix. The second secret is less Dante, more geopolitics. The Virgin warned of another war, worse than the one in 1917, if humanity didn't repent. She mentioned Russia, saying it would spread its errors unless consecrated to her immaculate heart. You raise an eyebrow. Russia? In 1917, the Bolshevik Revolution was just kicking off. By the mid-1940s, with the Soviet Union rising, this prophecy felt like a bullseye. The Church leaned into it, framing communism as the big bad wolf. You chuckle. Nothing rallies the faithful like a divine PowerPoint on global threats. But there's a catch. The Virgin also asked for Russia's consecration, a ritual the Church didn't fully nail until decades later. You wonder if that delay ticked her off. Let's anchor this in history. The first two secrets were revealed in Lucia's memoirs, published during World War II, with Vatican approval. They weren't just spiritual flexes, they shaped Catholic anti-communist fervor. Pope Pius I, who reigned from 1939 to 1958, used Fatima's warnings to rally the faithful against the Red Scare. By 1942, he consecrated the world to the Virgin's Immaculate Heart, though some grumbled he botched the Russia-specific part. You smirk. Papal paperwork must be a nightmare. Historians still argue whether the consecration was done right or if the Virgin's fine print was ignored. Either way, these secrets fueled a global devotion boom, with Fatima's shrine drawing millions. Now back to the secret's content. The hell vision wasn't just fire and brimstone, it was a call to action. The Virgin told the kids to pray the rosary daily to save souls. You picture Jacinta, all of 7, clutching her beads like a lifeline, her tiny face scrunched in prayer. The second secret's war prediction hit hard in the 1940s, with Nazi tanks rolling and bombs falling. It wasn't hard to believe the Virgin saw it coming. A quirky tidbit pops up. Some skeptics claimed the dancing sun miracle in 1917 was a UFO, not a divine sign. You laugh, aliens at Fatima? That's a plot twist even M. Night Shyamalan couldn't dream up. You're back in the archive, the weight of the secrets sinking in. The first two were public by the 1940s, but the third? Still sealed like a Pandora's box nobody dared touch. Lucia wrote it down in 1944 at the church's request, but with a caveat: don't open it until 1960. You lean forward, pulse quickening. Why the delay? Was it too scary, too vague, or worse, too specific? You imagine Lucia sealing the envelope, her hands trembling, knowing the world might not be ready. The first two secrets were grim but manageable. Hell's real, war's coming, pray harder. But the third? You're starting to see why the Vatican played it close to the chest. Let's zoom out. The first two secrets weren't just prophecies, they were PR gold for the church. They proved Fatima's visions were legit, drawing pilgrims and donations. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking, the candles flickering at Fatima's shrine. But they also set expectations. If the first two predicted war and communism, what was the third hiding? An alien invasion? Okay, probably not, but you're half tempted to believe the UFO nuts. You chuckle softly. Humans love a good apocalypse, don't we? It's like we're wired to expect the sky to fall. You're still in the archive, the dim light casting shadows on the shelves. The first two secrets feel like puzzle pieces, but they're not the whole picture. They set the stage for the third, the one that's kept you up at night, or at least kept you listening to this. You're not a conspiracy nut, but you can't shake the feeling that the church knew something big. The hell, vision and war warnings were heavy, but they fit the Catholic playbook. The third secret, though, it's like the Vatican decided, nope, you're not ready for this plot twist. You're itching to dig deeper, to find out why they hid it, but you stay focused. This is about the first two secrets, their impact, their truth. The archive's silence wraps around you like a fog. You can almost taste the wax from the candles lit for Fatima's pilgrims. The first two secrets changed the church, the world, and maybe even you, sitting there with your fan humming. They're not just old stories, they're a reminder that faith and fear go hand in hand. You're one step closer to the third secret, but for now, you linger on the kids' visions. Hell's flames, war's shadow, and a virgin who saw it all coming. You're deep in the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, surrounded by shelves that seem to whisper secrets older than time itself. The faint scent of parchment clings to the air, and your heart races as you hunt for the third secret of Fatima, the one the church buried like a forbidden relic. You've seen what the first two secrets unleashed, visions of hell and warnings of war that gripped the world. Now you're zeroing in on the third, the mystery that's kept everyone guessing for decades. Why hide it? What's so terrifying that even the Vatican, with all its power, flinched? You smirk. Nothing says holy drama like a prophecy. Too hot to handle. Let's step back to 1944. You're in Portugal, in a quiet convent where Sister Lucia dos Santos, now in her late 30s, sits alone. Her pen hovers over a blank page, her face etched with the weight of a promise made to the Virgin Mary. The first two secrets are out, published to rally the faithful during World War II. But the third, she's been told to write it down at the church's insistence after she fell gravely ill and they feared losing her. You can almost feel the chill in her cell, the flicker of a single candle casting shadows. She writes slowly, as if each word burns. When she's done, she seals the letter and adds a bombshell instruction. Don't open it until 1960. You raise an eyebrow. Why 1960? Is something big coming, or is she just messing with future popes? Now picture the letter's journey. It's sent to the Vatican, where it's locked in a safe, probably next to some saint's toe bone or a crusader's diary. The Church knows what's in it, at least a few top dogs do. Pope Pius XIV, the wartime pope, reportedly reads it in the 1950s. You imagine him, pale and stern, his hands trembling as he unfolds the page. Did he gasp, pray, call for a stiff drink? Nobody knows, but the rumors start swirling. The third secret, unlike the first two, isn't shared. It's not even hinted at. You lean forward, pulse quickening. This isn't just a prophecy, it's a ticking time bomb. Let's ground this in history. The Vatican's silence on the third secret wasn't just a quirk, it was deliberate. In 1957, the letter was moved to the Holy Office, the Church's doctrine watchdog, under Pope Pius V's watch. The 1960 deadline set by Lucia was no secret, pun intended. Bishops, priests, and even laypeople knew it was coming. Yet when 1960 rolled around, the Vatican said, nothing. Crickets. You roll your eyes, classic move, promising a big reveal, and then ghosting the world. Historians still argue whether the Church feared mass panic, a theological crisis, or something else entirely. Was the secret too vague, too apocalyptic, or, worst of all, too true? You're back in the archive, your mind racing. The third secret's mystery isn't just about its contents, it's about the Church's reaction. The first two secrets were grim but fit the Catholic narrative. Repent, pray, dodge hell. They were shared to inspire, to control the narrative. But the third, it's like the Vatican read it and decided, nope, this one's staying in the vault. A quirky tidbit pops up. In the 1970s, a Portuguese priest claimed the secret mentioned a great chastisement involving fire from the sky. You chuckle? Fire from the sky? Sounds like a Michael Bay movie, but it's creepy enough to make you wonder. Let's dig deeper. Why hide a prophecy from the Virgin Mary of all people? You're not a cardinal, but you can guess. Maybe it predicted something the Church couldn't spin, like a scandal, a schism, or a future so bleak it'd empty the pews. Or maybe it challenged the Vatican's authority, hinting at a shift in power. You picture cardinals in their red robes whispering in smoky rooms, debating whether to bury it forever. The 1960 deadline looms in your mind. Lucia said the Virgin wanted it revealed then, but the Church had other plans. You smirk, disobeying a divine memo. Bold move, Vatican. Now let's talk impact. The third secret's secrecy didn't just spark curiosity. It bred distrust. By the 1960s, Catholics were already questioning the Church's grip. Vatican II was shaking things up, and the world was changing fast. Keeping the secret hidden made people wonder, what else is the Vatican hiding? You can almost hear the rosaries clicking nervously, the pilgrims at Fatima's shrine whispering theories. The secret became a lightning rod, a symbol of faith versus control. You chuckle softly. Humans love a cover-up, don't we? It's like the Church knew silence would turn the secret into a legend. You're still in the archive, the weight of the mystery pressing down. The third secret isn't just a letter, it's a question mark hanging over the Church. Why hide it? Fear of chaos, loss of power, or something so wild it defies belief? You're tempted to imagine aliens or time travel, but you stay grounded. The first two secrets were shared to steer the faithful. The third was buried to, what? Protect them? Control them? You're not sure, but you feel the tension like a storm brewing. The archive's shadows seem to shift, urging you to keep searching, to uncover why the Vatican chose silence over truth. You're still prowling the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air hums with the weight of untold stories. The third secret of Fatima is your target, a prophecy so elusive It's practically a ghost. You've traced its roots to 1917, felt the chill of the first two secrets, and puzzled over why the third was buried. Now you're zeroing in on Sister Lucia's sealed letter, the physical proof of the Virgin's final warning. You're not just chasing words on a page, you're chasing the moment the Church decided to lock them away. You smirk. Nothing screams sacred like a divine message treated like nuclear waste. Picture Portugal, 1944. You're in a dim convent cell where Sister Lucia dos Santos, now 37, sits at a wooden desk. Her face is lined, not just from age, but from carrying a secret heavier than a cathedral. She's been sick, so sick the Church feared she'd die without spilling the third secret. Her bishop ordered her to write it down, and now her pen moves, haltingly, as if each word is a confession. You can almost hear the scratch of ink, the faint creak of the convent's walls. Lucia finishes, folds the paper, and seals it in an envelope. Her instructions are clear. Send it to the Vatican, but don't open it until 1960. You lean forward, pulse quickening. Why the wait? What's she hiding? The letter's journey is a quiet one. It's mailed to the Vatican, where it lands in the hands of the Holy Office, the Church's doctrine enforcers. You imagine a cardinal, all red robes and stern frowns, tucking it into a safe, maybe muttering a prayer for good measure. This isn't just any letter, it's a direct line to the Virgin Mary, or so Lucia claims. You're tempted to picture it glowing like some holy artifact, but it's probably just yellowed paper, scribbled in Portuguese. Still, its power is undeniable, power to inspire, to terrify, or to unravel the Church's carefully woven narrative. You chuckle, leave it to a nun to drop a bombshell, and then take a vow of silence. Let's anchor this in history. Sister Lucia's letter was real, written in January 1944 and sent to the Vatican by June. It was stored in the Holy Office, not the Apostolic Archive, a detail that matters because it shows the Church treated it as a doctrinal hot potato, not just a historical curiosity. Pope Pius V, who ruled during World War II, reportedly read it in 1957. You picture him, gaunt and weary, unfolding the page in a private chamber. The Vatican never confirmed what he thought, but rumors swirled that he was shaken. Historians still argue whether the secret's contents were too apocalyptic, too vague, or too politically explosive to share. The 1960 deadline set by Lucia only fueled the mystery. You're back in the archive, your mind buzzing. Lucia's letter is the key, but it's also a paradox. The first two secrets were shared to rally the faithful. Hell's scary, wars, coming, pray harder. The third, though, was different. Lucia's insistence on 1960 suggests she believed the world would be ready then, or that something big was coming. You wonder what she knew, locked away in her convent, far from the world's noise. A quirky tidbit pops up. In the 1950s, a Portuguese bishop claimed Lucia told him the secret involved great trials for the Church. You smirk? Trials? That's like saying a tsunami is a big wave. Vague, but ominous. Let's dig into Lucia's role. She wasn't just a messenger, she was a gatekeeper. After Francisco and Jacinta died in the 1918 flu pandemic, Lucia was the last living witness to the Virgin's words. She joined the Carmelite order, living a cloistered life, rarely speaking publicly. You imagine her praying in silence, the secret burning in her heart. The Church leaned on her but also controlled her. Her memoirs were vetted, her movements restricted. Was she a prophet or a pawn? You're not sure, but you feel for her, carrying a truth the world wasn't allowed to hear. Now think about the letter itself. It's not a novel, it's short, maybe a page or two. Lucia wrote it in Portuguese, her native tongue, and it's said to describe a vision like the first two secrets. The first showed hell, the second predicted war, both visual, symbolic,
Heavy. The third? You're guessing it's another vision, but of what? An apocalypse? A betrayal?
You're tempted to imagine something wild like a Vatican coup or a meteor strike, but you stay grounded. The letter's power lies in its secrecy and the Church's refusal to share it. You chuckle softly. Humans love a locked box, don't we? It's like the Vatican knew teasing us would keep the mystery alive. You're still in the archive, the shadows deepening. Lucia's letter feels close, like you could reach out and touch it. But it's not just paper. It's a challenge to the Church's authority. Why seal it? Why defy the Virgin's timeline? You're starting to see the stakes, a prophecy that could shake faith, empty pews, or expose cracks in the Vatican's armor. The first two secrets were tools. The third was a threat. You're not a theologian, but you sense the tension like
a storm brewing. The archive's silence presses in, urging you to keep digging, to uncover what Lucia wrote and why it scared the Church senseless.
You're still haunting the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels like it's holding its breath. The Third Secret of Fatima is your obsession, a prophecy so guarded it might as well be cursed. You've traced its path from 3 kids in a Portuguese field to Sister Lucia's sealed letter, locked away by the Church. Now you're zeroing in on 1960, the year the Virgin Mary, through Lucia, said the secret should be revealed. Spoiler alert. The Vatican didn't listen. You're digging into why they ignored a divine deadline, and the answer feels like a puzzle with half the pieces missing. You smirk. Nothing says, "Trust us," like blowing off a heavenly memo. Picture
Rome, 1960. You're outside St. Peter's Square, where pigeons flutter and tourists snap photos.
inside the Vatican. Pope John XXIII, a kindly old man with a reformer's glint, sits in a private office. On his desk is Lucia's letter, the Third Secret, sealed since 1944. The world's buzzing. Catholics, scholars, even tabloids know 1960 is the year. Lucia said the Virgin wanted it shared, that humanity would understand it better then. You lean forward, imagining the Pope's fingers brushing the envelope. He opens it, reads, and nothing. No announcement, no press conference, just a vague statement from the Vatican, the secret's staying secret. You roll your eyes, classic Vatican playing keep away with the truth. Let's set the scene. It's the Cold War's peak, with the US and Soviet Union rattling nuclear sabers. The Cuban Missile Crisis is 2 years away, and fears thick as fog. The Church is navigating Vatican II, a massive reform council, shaking up centuries-old traditions. You can almost hear the cardinals' robes rustling, their whispers urgent. Releasing a prophecy now, especially one that might sound apocalyptic, could spark panic, or worse, make the Church look irrelevant in a modern world. You wonder if John XXIII read Lucia's words and thought, nope, this'll cause a riot. Or maybe he just didn't get it. You chuckle. Divine visions aren't exactly IKEA instructions. Now let's ground this in history. The Vatican's 1960s silence was real and deliberate. On August 17, 1959, John XXIII read The Secret according to Vatican records with a Portuguese translator present. Afterward, he decided it wasn't for public eyes. The official line, issued in February 1960, was slippery. The secret was most likely not meant for the world, and the Church would safeguard it. You smirk. Safeguard? More like bury. Historians still argue whether the decision was about protecting the faithful or dodging a PR nightmare. Some say the secret's content was too vague, others insist it was too specific, maybe naming dates or disasters the church couldn't handle. You're back in the archive, your mind spinning. The 1960 deadline wasn't just a suggestion, it was the Virgin's orders per Lucia. Ignoring it feels like a cosmic snub. You picture Lucia in her convent, now in her 50s, hearing the news. Did she frown, pray, or just shrug? She never spoke publicly about it, bound by obedience, but the faithful weren't so quiet. By the 1960s, Fatima's devotees were restless, some accusing the Vatican of hiding a warning meant to save souls. A quirky tidbit pops up. A 1963 German magazine claimed the secret predicted a great apostasy in the church. You laugh, apostasy sounds like a Catholic soap opera, but it's juicy enough to keep you hooked. Let's dig deeper. Why defy the Virgin? You're not a bishop, but you can guess. Maybe the secret was too wild. Think end times chaos or a church scandal. Or maybe it was too tame, just spiritual fluff that wouldn't land in a world obsessed with Sputnik and Elvis. The 1960s were turbulent. The church was already fighting to stay relevant. Dropping a prophecy that might misfire could have backfired spectacularly. You imagine cardinals debating in smoky rooms, weighing faith against control. The first two secrets were shared to inspire. The third was silenced to, what? Maintain order? Hide a truth too big for the pews? Now think about the fallout. The Vatican's silence didn't kill the mystery, it supercharged it. By 1967, fringe groups were printing pamphlets, claiming the secret warned of Satan infiltrating the Vatican. You chuckle, Satan in a cardinal's hat? That's a bit much, even for conspiracy nuts. But the distrust was real. The faithful felt cheated, like the church was gatekeeping divine truth. Fatima's shrine still drew millions, but the secrecy became a wound, a crack in the Vatican's armor. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking, the pilgrims whispering, "What are they hiding? You're still in the archive. The shadow's thicker now." The 1960s snub feels personal, like the church decided you weren't ready for the truth. The third secret isn't just a letter, it's a test of faith, power, and transparency. Why 1960? Why the silence? You're starting to see the Vatican not as a monolith, but as a group of humans, flawed, scared, maybe even clueless, grappling with a message they couldn't decode. You're itching to know what John Wayne Thien read, but you stay focused. This is about the deadline, the defiance, the moment the church chose secrecy over revelation. The archive's silence wraps around you, heavy as a cloak. You can almost taste the wax from candles lit in 1960 when the world waited and the Vatican said no. The third secret's mystery grows, not because of what it says, but because of what the church did or didn't do. You're one step closer, but the truth feels slippery, like a shadow you can't catch. Keep digging though, the next clue's waiting. You're still lurking in the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels like it's laced with whispers from centuries past. The third secret of Fatima is your quarry, a prophecy so tightly guarded it's practically a myth. You've followed its trail from Fatima's fields to Lucia's sealed letter, and you've seen the church dodge its 1960 reveal like a kid avoiding homework. Now you're diving into the rumors that swirled after, whispers of popes weeping, their faces pale as they read the secret. You're chasing the human side of this mystery, the raw emotion behind the Vatican's stone walls. You smirk. Nothing says holy terror, like a pope brought to tears. Picture Rome, late 1950s. You're in a dimly lit Vatican chamber where Pope Pius XIII, gaunt and frail, sits alone. A single lamp casts shadows on his desk, where Lucia's letter lies open. He's one of the first to read the Third Secret years before the 1960 deadline. His eyes scan the page, and, according to whispers, he trembles, maybe even weeps. You lean in, imagining his breath catching, his hands gripping the desk. What could shake a man who's faced World War II and the Cold War's dawn? You're not sure, but the image sticks. A pope, God's vicar, undone by a nun's scribbled vision. You chuckle, walk about a plot twist worthy of a Netflix thriller. Let's move forward. It's 1959 and Pope John III, the good pope, with a warm smile reads the secret next. You picture him in his private quarters, glasses perched on his nose, a Portuguese translator at his side. He finishes, folds the letter, and, per Vatican gossip, his face clouds with sorrow. Some say he prayed all night, others claim he wept too. You raise an eyebrow. 2 popes, 2 meltdowns. The rumours pile up. Later popes like Paul VI and John Paul II reportedly had similar reactions. You're tempted to imagine them passing the letter around like a cursed chain email, each one tearing up. You laugh softly, popes crying. It's like picturing your grumpy uncle sobbing at a rom-com. Now let's ground this in history. The Weeping Pope's story isn't just gossip. It's documented in Vatican circles. Father Malachi Martin, a Jesuit with insider access, claimed in the 1980s that Pius XIII and John XXIII were deeply shaken by the secret. Martin, a controversial figure, said it described a great chastisement for the Church. No hard evidence backs the tearful details, but the Vatican never denied these accounts, which only fueled the fire. Historians still argue whether the Pope's reactions were about the secret's content, apocalyptic doom maybe, or its implications for the Church's future. Was it a warning they couldn't act on, or a truth too heavy to share? You're back in the archive, your pulse quickening. The Weeping Popes aren't just a juicy tidbit, they're a clue. If the secret was mundane, why the drama? You imagine Pius XIII, who consecrated the world to the Virgin's Immaculate Heart, reading something that made his faith waver. Or John XXIII, the Reformer, seeing a vision that clashed with his hopeful Vatican II dreams. A quirky tidbit pops up. In the 1970s, a Fatima devotee claimed John XXIII fainted after reading The Secret, only to wake up muttering about fire and ruin. You smirk, fainting. That's a bit extra, even for a pope, but it's creepy enough to keep you hooked. Let's dig deeper. Why would The Secret hit so hard? You're not a cleric, but you can guess. Maybe it predicted a church crisis, schism, corruption, or empty pews. Or maybe it was cosmic, like asteroids or divine wrath. The first 2 secrets were visual, hell's flames, war's shadow. The third, if it's a vision, might be even wilder. Think angels with flaming swords or a world in chaos. You picture John Paul II, who survived an assassination attempt in 1981, reading it and wondering if his brush with death was part of the prophecy. The Pope's tears suggest something personal, something that cut to their core as shepherds of 1 billion souls. Now think about the stakes. The popes weren't just men, they were symbols of divine authority. If they wept, it wasn't just about fear, it was about responsibility. You imagine them asking, how do we lead if this is true? The Vatican's silence after 1960 makes sense now. A secret that rattled popes could rattle the world. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking in Fatima's shrine, where pilgrims prayed for answers the Church wouldn't give. The Weeping Popes became a legend, proof the secret was.
No joke, you chuckle. Humans love a sob story, don't we?
It's like the Vatican knew a few tears would make the mystery irresistible. You're still in the archive, the shadows flickering like candlelight. The Pope's reactions feel close, like you can sense their fear in the air. The Third Secret isn't just a letter, it's a mirror reflecting the Church's deepest anxieties. Why did they cry? Was it grief for a doomed world or guilt for a failing institution? You're starting to see the human side of the Vatican. Not a monolith, but a group of men grappling with a truth they couldn't share. You're itching to know what they read, but you stay focused. This is about the tears, the fear, the moment. The secret broke the unbreakable. The archive's silence presses in, heavy as a storm cloud. You can almost taste the salt of those rumored tears shed in private chambers decades ago. The Third Secret's power grows, not just in its words, but in the men it shook. You're one step closer to the truth, but it's slippery, like chasing a dream. Keep digging, the next piece is waiting. You're still creeping through the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels like it's holding secrets tighter than a miser's purse. The Third Secret of Fatima is your prey, a prophecy so shrouded it's practically a legend. You've followed its trail, from 3 kids' visions to popes weeping in private chambers. Now you're diving into the conspiracy theories that exploded when the Vatican kept the secret under wraps. You're wading through a swamp of wild ideas, from apocalyptic doom to satanic plots, all fueled by the Church's silence. You smirk. Nothing screams cover-up like leaving the world to guess. Picture the 1970s, a decade of bell-bottoms and paranoia. You're in a smoky Lisbon cafe, overhearing Catholic devotees whispering about Fatima. The 1960 deadline came and went, and the Vatican's still mum. The faithful are restless, and the fringe is thriving. Theories about the Third Secret are everywhere. Pamphlets, radio shows, even graffiti. One popular claim: the secret predicts a nuclear holocaust, fire raining from the sky. You imagine mushroom clouds and panicked crowds, like a sci-fi flick, gone wrong. Another theory insists it's about a great apostasy, with the Church infiltrated by Satan himself. You raise an eyebrow: Satan in the Vatican? That's a bit extra, even for the disco era. Let's dig in. The conspiracy boom wasn't just random, it was a reaction to the Church's stonewalling. After 1960, when Pope John XXIII shelved the secret, people filled the void with their own stories. Some said it foretold the assassination of a pope. John Paul II's 1981 shooting seemed to fit. Others claimed it warned of environmental collapse, with oceans rising and cities crumbling. You picture zealots scribbling manifestos, convinced the Vatican was hiding a divine PowerPoint on the end times. You chuckle. Humans love a doomsday tale, don't we? It's like we're wired to expect the apocalypse, preferably with a side of drama. Now let's ground this in history. The conspiracy theories gained traction because the Vatican's silence was deafening. In 1967, a Canadian newsletter called Fatima Crusader claimed the secret described a worldwide chastisement tied to moral decay. By the 1980s, Father Malachi Martin, a Jesuit with a flair for theatrics, hinted it involved 3 days of darkness. His vague teases sold books but muddied the waters. Historians still argue whether these theories were pure fiction or rooted in leaked truths. The Church's refusal to clarify only poured fuel on the fire, turning the secret into a Rorschach test for the paranoid. A quirky tidbit: some 1970s theorists swore the secret mentioned UFOs, linking Fatima's dancing sun to alien tech. You laugh. Aliens? That's a plot twist even eminent Night Shyamalan couldn't sell. You're back. In the archive, your mind buzzing with wild ideas. These theories aren't just noise, they're a symptom of distrust. The first 2 secrets, hell and war, were shared to steer the faithful. The third secrecy, though, felt like a betrayal. You imagine Catholics in pews whispering, "If it's from the Virgin, why hide it?" The theories range from plausible to bonkers, but they all point to one thing: the Church's control was slipping. By not revealing the secret, the Vatican handed the narrative to the fringes, cults, mystics, and tabloid hacks. You can almost hear the typewriters clacking, churning out headlines about Armageddon. Let's zoom out. The conspiracy's swirl wasn't just about the secret's content. It was about power. The Vatican, by staying silent, kept the upper hand but lost trust. You picture cardinals in their red hats, debating whether to squash the rumors or let them fester. Some theories were harmless, like predictions of natural disasters. Others were darker, accusing the Church of hiding corruption or a coming schism. You wonder which hit closer to home. The 1981 assassination attempt on John Paul II gave conspiracists a field day. Some swore the secret predicted it, tying it to the Virgin's warnings about Russia. You smirk, Cold War paranoia plus divine prophecy. That's a cocktail for chaos. Now think about the believers. For them, the secret wasn't just a theory, it was a test of faith. You imagine pilgrims at Fatima's shrine, clutching rosaries, praying for clarity. The theories, nuclear war, satanic plots, UFOs, gave them something to hold on to, even if it was fear. The Church's silence didn't kill devotion, it weaponized it, turning the secret into a holy grail for the devout and the unhinged alike. You chuckle softly, leave it to Catholics to turn a locked letter into a cosmic soap opera. The archives, shadows seem to pulse as if the theories are alive, whispering from the shelves. You're still in the archive, the weight of the mystery pressing down. The conspiracy theories aren't truth, but they're not nothing. They show what happens when faith meets secrecy. People make their own answers. The third secret, whatever it says, became a canvas for humanity's fears. War, betrayal, collapse. You're itching to know the real text, but you stay focused. This is about the theories, the paranoia. The moment the world decided the Vatican was hiding something huge. The truth is close, but it's buried under decades of wild guesses. Keep
digging, the next clue's waiting.
You're still prowling the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where shadows cling to shelves like ancient guardians. The Third Secret of Fatima is your obsession, a prophecy so veiled it's practically a spectre. You've traced its path from Fatima's fields to conspiracy theories about Satan and UFOs. Now, you're zeroing in on the Vatican's big move, the 2000 release of the Third Secret, or at least their version of it. After decades of silence, the Church finally spoke. But did they tell the whole truth? You're digging into their official stance, and it feels like a magic trick with half the props missing. You smirk. Nothing says transparency like a reveal that raises more question. Picture Rome, June 26, 2000. You're in a Vatican press room where Cardinal Angelo Sodano, a top official, stands before a sea of reporters. The air's thick with anticipation. After 40 years of dodging the 1960 deadline, the Church is unveiling the Third Secret. Pope John Paul II, frail but resolute, has greenlit the release. Sodano reads from a document. The secret is a vision of a bishop in white shot down amid a ruined city with angels and martyrs in the backdrop. It's tied to the 1981 assassination attempt on John Paul II, he says. A prophecy fulfilled, case closed. You raise an eyebrow. Neat and tidy, huh? Too tidy, maybe. Let's dive into the text. The Vatican published Lucia's handwritten letter, a single page from 1944. You imagine it projected on a screen, a bishop in white staggering through a city of corpses, struck down by bullets and arrows. An angel with a flaming sword cries, "Penance." while the Virgin's light shines above. It's vivid, cinematic, like a Renaissance painting crossed with a war movie. The Vatican's spin is clear. The bishop is John Paul II, the attack his. Near death in 1981 and the secrets about past suffering, not future doom. You lean forward, pulse quickening. Sounds plausible, but something's off. Why hide this for decades if it's just history? Now let's ground this in history. The 2000 release was a calculated move. John Paul II, a Fatima devotee, believed the Virgin saved him in 1981. He even donated the bullet to Fatima's shrine. The Vatican's report, led by Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, later Pope Benedict XVI, framed the secret as a call to faith, not an apocalypse. It was released during the Great Jubilee, a time of Catholic renewal, to quell speculation and boost devotion. But critics pounced. Some said the vision was too vague to pin on 1981. Others claimed the Vatican omitted a second part, Lucia's explanation of the vision. Historians still argue whether the release was full disclosure or a sanitized
half-truth. You're back in the archive, your mind buzzing.
The 2000 reveal feels like a band-aid on a broken leg. The vision's intense, ruined cities, dead bishops. But the Vatican's "it's all good now" vibe doesn't add up. Why lock away a prophecy about an event that already happened? You picture Lucia, who was still alive in 2000, reading the news in her convent. She confirmed the text was hers, but stayed silent on the interpretation. A quirky tidbit pops up. A 2000 Italian newspaper claimed Lucia hinted the secret had more to it, sparking rumors of a hidden page. You chuckle, another page? That's like finding out your favorite book has a secret epilogue. Let's dig deeper. The Vatican's stance hinges on the 1981 assassination attempt, but the fit's not perfect. John Paul II was shot in St. Peter's Square, not a ruined city. The vision's arrows and bullets scream chaos, not a lone gunman. You wonder if the Church cherry-picked the interpretation to avoid scarier possibilities, like a future attack, or a church in crisis. The 2000 release didn't silence doubters, it amplified them. Traditionalists cried cover-up, saying the real secret warned of Vatican II's reforms or moral decay. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking at Fatima's shrine, where pilgrims debated the truth. Now think about the stakes. The Vatican wasn't just sharing a prophecy, it was reclaiming control. Decades of conspiracy theories, nuclear war, satanic plots, had turned the secret into a wild card. By tying it to the 1981, the Church tried to shut down the noise and paint itself as divinely protected. But the release backfired. You imagine cardinals in their red hats, hoping to end the mystery, only to ignite fresh distrust. You smirk, humans love a loose thread, don't we? The 2000 reveal was less a finale than a cliffhanger, leaving you wondering what they didn't say. You're still in the archive, the shadows sharper now. The Vatican's official stance feels like a puzzle with pieces forced together. The Third Secret's vision is haunting, but the Church's explanation feels too pat, too safe. Was it really just about John Paul II, or is there more? Something too big, too messy to share? You're itching to crack the code, but you stay focused. This is about the 2000 release, the Vatican's gambit, the moment they tried to close the book, but left it wide open. The truth's close, but it's slippery, like a whisper in the dark. Keep digging, the next clue's waiting. You're still skulking through the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the shelves seem to pulse with secrets older than empires. The Third Secret of Fatima is your fixation, a prophecy so elusive it's practically a phantom. You've followed its trail from 1917 visions to the Vatican's slippery 2000 reveal, which left more questions than answers. Now you're diving into the clash between skeptics and believers, the tug-of-war over whether the secret's real, half-revealed, or a church-orchestrated mirage. You're wading through arguments, doubts, and faith, trying to pin down what's true. You smirk, nothing says, "holy mess," like a prophecy splitting the faithful in two. Picture a 2000s internet forum, the kind with garish fonts and dial-up hums. You're scrolling through heated threads about Fatima. Skeptics, armed, with logic and snark, call the Third Secret a scam, a vague vision hyped by a superstitious church. Believers, clutching rosaries, insist it's divine truth, maybe even a warning still unfolding. The 2000 release, with its bishop in white gunned down, didn't settle the debate, it lit a fuse. You lean in, imagining the keyboard warriors, duking it out. Is the secret a relic of faith or a relic of control? You're not sure, but the fight's got you hooked. Let's break it down. Skeptics argue the secret's a nothing burger. The 2000 vision, ruined city, dead bishop, flaming angel, is poetic but fuzzy, like a fever dream. They point out the 1981 assassination attempt on John Paul II doesn't quite match. No corpses, no arrows, just a lone shooter in St. Peter's Square. Some call Fatima itself a hoax, saying Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta were coached or delusional. You picture a smug professor sipping coffee, dismissing the dancing sun of 1917 as a mass hallucination triggered by staring at the sky. You chuckle. Humans love debunking miracles, don't we? It's like we're allergic to wonder. Now the believers, they're not buying the Vatican's tidy wrap-up. Traditionalists especially cry foul, saying the 2000 release was incomplete. They lean on rumors that Lucia wrote 2 parts, the vision, released, and an explanation, hidden. You imagine them at Fatima's shrine praying for the real secret, convinced it warns of church corruption or end times chaos. Some tie it to modern crises, terrorism, secularism, even climate change. You can almost hear their fervent whispers, insisting the Virgin wouldn't bother with a prophecy that's just history. A quirky tidbit pops up. A 2006 Italian priest claimed Lucia told him the secret predicted a spiritual chastisement post-Vatican II. You smirk. Spiritual
Chastisement?
sounds like a Catholic detention slip. Let's ground this in history. The skeptic-believer divide isn't new. It's baked into Fatima's story. In 1930, the Church declared the apparitions worthy of belief, but skeptics even then scoffed. The 2000 release sharpened the split. Secular scholars like historian David Blackburn argue the secrecy was a church power play, keeping Catholics on edge. Believers, backed by groups like the Fatima Crusader, counter that the Vatican's editing hid a warning about modernist reforms. Historians still argue whether the secret's text is complete or if a second document, Lucia's commentary, exists in the Vatican's vaults. The debate's a stalemate, with no smoking gun. You're back in the archive, your mind buzzing. The skeptic-believer clash isn't just noise, it's the heart of the mystery. Skeptics see a manipulated myth, believers see a suppressed truth. You wonder where you stand. The vision's imagery, blood, ruin, penance, feels heavy. But the Vatican's "it's all about 1981" explanation feels light, like a diet soda version of prophecy. You picture Lucia, who died in 2005, her silence louder than words. Did she know the truth would fracture her flock? The divide shows how the secret's power lies not in its words, but in what people project onto it. Let's zoom out. The debate's not just about Fatima, it's about faith in a skeptical age. The Church, caught between science and devotion, struggles to sell miracles to a world that demands proof. You imagine cardinals in their red hats, watching the 2000 release spark. More division than unity. The skeptic's logic stings, but the believer's passion pulls you in. You chuckle softly. Leave it to a 1917 vision to start a 21st century culture war. The archive's shadows seem to shift, as if the arguments echo through the shelves, each side claiming the secret as their own. You're still in the archive, the weight of the mystery pressing down. The skeptic-believer split isn't just a fight. It's a mirror reflecting humanity's wrestle with the unknown. Is the third secret a divine warning, a church ploy, or something in between? You're itching to know, but you stay focused. This is about the clash, the doubt, the faith that keeps the secret alive. The truth's close, but it's tangled in a web of belief and disbelief. Keep digging, the next clue's waiting. You're still wandering the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels thick with the dust of buried truths. The Third Secret of Fatima is your obsession, a prophecy so elusive it's practically a shadow. You've traced its journey, from 1917 visions to the 2000 release that split skeptics and believers. Now you're probing whether the secret predicted modern global crises, wars, disasters, or chaos that the church feared would panic the world. You're sifting through what the secret might mean today, and it feels like staring into a foggy crystal ball. You smirk. Nothing says divine warning like a prophecy that might have called our current mess. Picture the world in 2025. You're scrolling X on your phone, doom scrolling past headlines, wildfires raging, geopolitical tensions.
Spiking AI debates heating up.
The third secret's vision, a ruined city, a bishop gunned down, angels crying penance, feels eerily relevant. Could it have foreseen this? You imagine Lucia's letter sealed in 1944, describing a future of collapsing systems or environmental ruin. The Vatican's 2000 claim that it's just about John Paul II's 1981 shooting seems flimsy now, like explaining a tsunami with a kiddie pool. You lean in, pulse quickening. What if the secret's about now, not then? Let's explore the possibilities. The vision's imagery, corpses, devastation, a trembling bishop, screams catastrophe. You wonder if it points to modern wars like conflicts in the Middle East or Ukraine, where cities turn to rubble. Or maybe it's climate change, floods, droughts and storms that make fire from the sky feel less metaphorical. Some believers on X speculate the secret warns of a digital apocalypse. AI gone rogue, maybe. You chuckle, AI in a 1917 prophecy? That's a stretch, but in 2025 it's not impossible. The secret's vagueness is its power. It could fit any crisis, from pandemics to economic meltdowns. Now let's ground this in history. The Fatima prophecies were born in crisis world-y, war-eye, with its trenches and terror. The first two secrets predicted hell and World War II, so it's not wild to think the third tackled future upheavals. In 2000, the Vatican tied it to 20th century struggles, but critics argued it hinted at
Ongoing or coming woes.
Historians still argue whether the secret's vision was symbolic, a general call to repentance, or specific, like a playbook for disasters. A quirky tidbit: in 2010, Pope Benedict XVI, visiting Fatima, said the secret's message was not complete, hinting it might still apply to future crises. You smirk. Way to keep the mystery alive, Benedict. You're back in the archive, your mind racing. The idea that the secret foresaw today's world explains the Vatican's caginess. Imagine cardinals in the 1950s reading about a future of chaos, nuclear risks, ecological collapse, or a church losing sway. Releasing that could have sparked mass fear or weakened their authority. You picture Pope John XIII, who read it in 1959, deciding silence was safer than sounding an alarm. The 2000 release, framing it as history, feels like a dodge to keep the faithful calm. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking at Fatima's shrine, where pilgrims pray for a world that feels like it's teetering. Let's dig deeper. Why hide a warning about global crises? You're not a prophet, but you can guess. A specific prediction, say a 21st century war or plague, might have been too risky to share. If it didn't happen, the church looks foolish. If it did, panic. Could have emptied pews or fueled cults. A vague prophecy, though, keeps the mystery potent but safe. You imagine the Vatican weighing faith against control, choosing to bury a truth that might have saved souls or scared them away. You chuckle softly. Humans love a vague threat, don't we? It's like a horror movie where the monster's never fully shown. Now think about the impact. If the secret did predict modern crises, the Vatican's silence wasn't just caution, it was a gamble. By 2025, the world's a pressure cooker, and Fatima's devotees see the secret everywhere. In wildfires, in wars, in ex-posts about end times. The Church's 2000 spin didn't kill the speculation, it gave it wings. You picture believers linking the bishop in white to a future pope, maybe one facing a world in flames. The secret's power lies in its ambiguity, letting every disaster feel like a checkmark on the Virgin's list. You're tempted to tweet your own theory, but you stay focused. You're still in the archive. The shadow's heavier now. The third secret feels alive, like it's whispering about the world outside, your world. Was it about 1981, or is it about 2025 with its wars, warming planet, and restless souls? The Vatican's fear of its impact makes sense. A prophecy this big could shift how you see faith, fate, or even tomorrow's news. You're itching to know the full text, but you stay grounded. This is about the crises, the fears, the possibility that the secret saw your time coming. The truth's close, but it's like catching smoke. Keep digging, the next clue's waiting. You're still weaving through the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the shelves seem to hum with secrets that could topple empires. The third secret of Fatima is your fixation, a prophecy so slippery it's practically a wisp of smoke. You've followed it from 1917 visions to theories about modern crises, each clue pulling you deeper. Now you're stepping into the heart of Fatima's global cult, the millions who flock to its shrine, pray its rosary, and keep the secret's mystique alive. You're exploring why this devotion endures, and it feels like touching a live wire
of faith. You smirk, nothing says eternal like a prophecy that won't quit. Picture Fatima, Portugal, 2025. You're standing in the Cova da Iria, where Lucia, Francisco, and Jacinta saw the Virgin Mary over a century ago.
The shrine's basilica gleams under a golden sun, and the plazas packed with pilgrims. Old women in headscarves, young families, even tattooed backpackers. They kneel, light candles, and clutch rosaries, their murmurs blending with the wind. You can almost smell the wax and incense, feel the heat of 1,000 flickering flames. This isn't just a place. It's a movement, fueled by the Virgin's promises and the third secret's shadow. You lean in, wondering what draws them here year after year. Let's set the scene. Fatima's not just a dot on a map. It's a global phenomenon. Since the 1917 apparitions, the shrine has drawn over 70 million pilgrims, with 4 to 5 million visiting annually. You picture them crawling on their knees to the chapel of apparitions, a tiny structure marking the Virgin's oak tree. They come from Brazil, Poland, the Philippines, every corner of the Catholic world. The third secret, revealed or not, is their fuel. Some believe it's still hidden, a warning for today. Others see the 2000 vision as a call to pray harder. You chuckle. Humans love a sacred quest, don't we? It's like Fatima's a spiritual magnet, pulling souls across oceans. Now let's ground this in history. The Catholic Church declared Fatima's apparitions worthy of belief in 1930, turning a village pasture into a pilgrimage powerhouse. Popes amplified its pull. John Paul II, who credited the Virgin with saving him in 1981, visited 3 times, cementing Fatima's status. The shrine's not just holy, it's political. During the Cold War, Fatima's anti-communist Second Secret made it a rally point against the Soviet Union. Today, it's a hub for modern anxieties, climate fears, war, secularism. Historians still argue whether Fatima's cult is pure devotion or a church tool to keep the faithful in line. A quirky tidbit: in 2017, for Fatima's centennial, a Filipino couple named their newborn Fatima Miracle. You smirk, talk about brand loyalty, you're back in the archive, your mind buzzing. Fatima's enduring cult isn't just about candles and prayers, it's about the Third Secret's grip. The 2000 release, Bishop in White, Ruined City, didn't dim the devotion, it stoked it. Pilgrims see the secret as a living prophecy, maybe tied to today's wars or warming planet. You picture them at the shrine whispering theories. Is the bishop a future pope? Is the ruined city a warning for 2025? The secret's ambiguity lets it fit any fear, keeping Fatima's flame alive. You can almost hear Lucia's voice, urging prayer, echoing through the crowd. Let's dig deeper. Why does this devotion persist? You're not a pilgrim, but you get it. Fatima offers hope in a chaotic world, a virgin who cares, a prophecy that promises meaning. The Third Secret, hidden for decades, adds intrigue, like a divine whodunit. You imagine the church, watching the crowds, knowing the secret's secrecy keeps the shrine packed. The 1960s silence, the 2000 half reveal. It's all rocket fuel for faith. You wonder if the Vatican planned it this way, letting the mystery drive devotion. You chuckle softly, leave it to Catholics to turn a locked letter into a global obsession. Now, think about the pilgrims. They're not just praying, they're searching for answers, for miracles, for a sign the Virgin's still watching. You picture a Brazilian grandmother, her hands worn from decades of rosaries, praying for her grandkids in a world that feels unmoored. Or a Polish teen, snapping selfies at the shrine, drawn by stories of the secret's power. Fatima's cult thrives because it's personal. Each pilgrim carries their own third secret, their own hope or fear. You're tempted to join them, to light a candle and see what it feels like. But you stay focused, here in the archive's shadows. You're still surrounded by ancient shelves, the weight of the mystery pressing down. Fatima's cult isn't just a side note, it's the secret's heartbeat. The pilgrims keep it alive, their faith a fire that no Vatican statement can douse. The third secret, whether fully revealed or not, is their compass, pointing to a future. They're desperate to understand. You're itching to know what Lucia wrote, but you stay grounded. This is about the devotion, the crowds, the unstoppable pull of Fatima. The truth's close, but it's woven into a million prayers. Keep digging. The next clue's waiting. You're still navigating the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels heavy with the ghosts of untold stories. The Third Secret of Fatima is your pursuit, a prophecy so veiled it's practically a whisper. You've traced its path, from 1917 visions to the global devotion fueling Fatima's shrine. Now you're probing whether the Vatican's secrecy was a power play, a calculated move to preserve its authority. You're peeling back the Church's motives, and it feels like lifting a velvet curtain to reveal a chessboard. You smirk. Nothing says divine mystery like a bureaucracy playing 4D chess. Picture Rome, 1960. You're in a Vatican council room where cardinals in red robes huddle under flickering chandeliers. The Third Secret's letter, penned by Lucia, sits in a safe, its 1960 reveal deadline looming. Pope John XXIII, who's read it, paces nearby. The world's changing Cold War fears, Vatican II reforms, a flock questioning old dogmas. Releasing a prophecy now, especially one that might predict chaos or challenge the Church, could tip the scales. You imagine a cardinal whispering, "If we share this, we lose control." You lean in, pulse quickening, was silence their shield, their way to keep the faithful in line. Let's unpack the stakes. The Vatican isn't just a spiritual hub, it's a global institution managing 1 billion souls. The first two Fatima secrets, hell and war, were shared to rally devotion, framing the Church as humanity's guide. The third, though, its secrecy suggests something riskier. Maybe it questioned papal authority, hinted at corruption, or predicted a secular world where the Church is sidelined. You picture John XXIII, a reformer, weighing the cost, reveal a truth that might fracture faith or bury it to maintain order. You chuckle. Humans love control, don't we? Even popes play the long game. Now let's ground this in history. The Vatican structure is built on authority, papal infallibility, doctrinal unity, top-down control. In 1960, Vatican II was shaking that foundation, pushing for openness. Keeping the third secret hidden despite Lucia's 1960 deadline was a flex of power. The Church's 2000 release, tying it to John Paul II's 1981 shooting, felt like a controlled narrative, not full transparency. Historians still argue whether the secrecy was about protecting the faithful or safeguarding the Vatican's grip. A quirky tidbit. In the 1980s, a rogue priest claimed the secret warned of a papal betrayal, sparking rumors the Vatican feared its own leaders. You smirk. Betrayal. That's soap opera level shade. You're back in the archive, your mind buzzing. The power play theory fits. The Church thrives on mystery. Think relics, miracles, sealed archives. By locking away the third secret, the Vatican kept the faithful hungry, flocking to Fatima's shrine for answers. You can almost hear the rosaries clicking, pilgrims praying for a truth the Church doled out on its terms. The 2000 release didn't end the mystery. It extended it, letting the Vatican steer the narrative while devotees filled the pews. You wonder if Lucia, cloistered in her convent, saw through the strategy. Did she know her words were pawns in a bigger game? Let's dig
deeper.
Secrecy as power isn't new. Think of the Church's history with Galileo or indulgences. The third secret, with its potential to disrupt, was a liability. If it predicted a crisis, say a divided Church or a world ignoring Rome, the Vatican might have feared losing its moral high ground. You imagine cardinals debating share it and risk chaos, or hide it and risk distrust. They chose the latter, betting the faithful would stay loyal. You chuckle softly. Leave it to the Church to turn a divine message into a corporate cover-up. The archive's shadows seem to nod, as if they've seen this play before. Now think about the fallout. The secrecy didn't just preserve authority, it bred suspicion. By 2025, ex-posts buzz with theories about Vatican gatekeeping, from hidden text to apocalyptic warnings. The faithful still pray, but some question if the Church is shepherd or schemer. You picture Fatima's pilgrims, their candles glowing, unaware their devotion fuels the very institution that withheld the truth. The third secret's power lies in its absence, a blank slate for faith and doubt. You're tempted to storm the archive's vaults, but you stay focused here in the dim light. You're still surrounded by ancient shelves, the weight of the mystery pressing down. The Vatican's power play isn't just a theory, it's the scaffolding of the third secret saga. Silence kept the Church in control, but at a cost. Trust. The secret, whether it's about 1981 or something bigger, became a tool to manage Devotion, not just a prophecy to share. You're itching to know what Lucia wrote, but you stay grounded. This is about the authority, the control, the Vatican's gamble to hold the reins. The truth's close, but it's locked in a game of
power. Keep digging. The next clue's waiting.
You're still threading through the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the shelves seem to whisper secrets that could unravel centuries. The Third Secret of Fatima is your fixation, a prophecy so shadowy it's practically a ghost. You've followed its trail from Fatima's fields to the Vatican's power plays, each step deepening the mystery. Now you're hunting for hidden codes in the secret's imagery. The bishop in white, the ruined city, the angel's flaming sword. Could these symbols hold a deeper meaning the church didn't share? You're decoding a divine riddle, and it feels like cracking a safe with no combination. You smirk. Nothing says holy puzzle like a prophecy that needs a decoder ring. Picture the Third Secret's text as revealed in 2000. You're hunched over a flickering screen, reading Lucia's words from 1944. A bishop in white stumbles through a city half in ruins, corpses scattered like fallen leaves. Soldiers shoot him with bullets and arrows, martyrs die nearby, and an angel with a fiery sword cries penance, while the Virgin's light glows above. The Vatican said it's about John Paul II's 1981 assassination attempt, but you're not buying the neat bow. This vision feels layered, like a dream where every image is a clue. You lean in, pulse quickening. What's the code behind the chaos? Let's break it down. The bishop in white is the obvious star, likely a pope, given the Vatican's spin. But why white? Popes wear white, sure, but it could symbolize purity or sacrifice, like a lamb before slaughter. The ruined city screams apocalypse, war, disaster, or a fallen civilization. The bullets and arrows, maybe literal violence or maybe spiritual attacks on faith. The angel's flaming sword and penance call feels Old Testament, like divine judgment. You wonder if it's a warning of punishment for a world gone astray. You chuckle. Humans love cryptic symbols, don't we? It's like the Virgin dropped a cosmic crossword puzzle. Now let's ground this in history. The 2000 release included Lucia's handwritten page, a vivid vision rooted in Catholic tradition. Apocalyptic imagery, ruin, martyrdom, divine wrath, echoes. The Book of Revelation, which Catholics have long studied for end times clues. The Vatican's interpretation, tying it to 1981, feels reductive. The vision's scope seems bigger, maybe universal. Historians still argue whether the imagery is literal, a specific event, or symbolic, a broader crisis of faith. A quirky tidbit. In 2001, a Fatima scholar claimed the arrows symbolized ideological attacks like secularism piercing the church. You smirk. Arrows as metaphors? That's some next-level Bible study. You're back in the archive, your mind buzzing. The imagery's richness suggests a code the Vatican downplayed. The bishop in white could be a future pope, not just John Paul II facing a crisis, war, schism, or a world turning from God. The ruined city might not be Rome, but humanity itself, crumbling under greed or neglect. You picture Lucia, scribbling in 1944, channeling a vision she barely understood. Did she see a specific year, like 2025, with its wars and warming planet? Or was it timeless, a warning for any era? You can almost hear the angel's cry, penance, echoing through the archive's shadows. Let's dig deeper. Why hide a coded message? If the vision's symbols point to something bigger, like a church failing its flock or a world facing judgment, the Vatican might have feared the fallout. A literal prophecy could spark panic. A symbolic one could spark rebellion. You imagine cardinals poring over the text, debating what arrows or ruins mean. The 2000 release, framing it as history, feels like a dodge to avoid decoding the hard stuff. You chuckle softly. Leave it to the church to hand you a puzzle and say, "Figure it out, but don't ask questions." The imagery's power lies in its mystery, inviting you to play detective. Now think about the believers. At Fatima's shrine, pilgrims don't just pray, they interpret. You picture them linking the flaming sword to climate disasters or the ruined city to modern wars. The secret symbols are a canvas for their fears and hopes, keeping the prophecy alive. The Vatican's silence on deeper meanings fuels this. By not decoding the vision, they let it grow. You're tempted to sketch the scene yourself, imagining the bishop's fall, but you stay focused. The code's not just in the text, it's in what the church chose to obscure. You can almost feel the weight of Lucia's pen, writing a truth. Too dense for one reveal, you're still in the archive. The shadow's sharper now. The Third Secret's imagery isn't just a story, it's a cipher, hiding truths the Vatican feared to face. Was it a warning for 1981 or a blueprint for crises yet to come? The symbols, bishop, city, sword, feel like keys to a lock you haven't found. You're itching to know the full vision, but you stay grounded. This is about the code, the symbols, the possibility that Lucia saw something too big to spell out. The truth's close, but it's buried in layers of divine poetry. Keep
digging the final clues, waiting.
You're still lingering in the Vatican's Apostolic Archive, where the air feels like it's woven from whispers and dust. The Third Secret of Fatima has consumed you, a prophecy so elusive it's practically a dream. You've chased it from 1917 visions to coded imagery, unraveling the church's silence and the devotion it sparked. Now, you're drifting into final reflections, letting the mystery settle like moonlight on a quiet sea. You're pondering what the secret means for faith, secrets, and the human need to know. You smirk. Nothing says sleepy closure like a prophecy that leaves you wondering. Picture yourself outside the archive now, standing in a Roman courtyard. It's 2025 and the night sky stretches above, stars glinting like unanswered questions. The Third Secret, whether it's about a bishop's fall, a ruined world, or something else, feels less like a document and more like a mirror. It reflects your hopes, your doubts, the way you grapple with truths just out of reach. You imagine Lucia, long gone, her words still stirring souls at Fatima's shrine. Did she know her vision would haunt us, pushing us to question the church, ourselves, the future? You lean back, the cool stone beneath you grounding your thoughts. Let's ease into it. The secret's power isn't in its text, bishop, arrows, pennants, but in its silence. The Vatican's choice to hide it, then reveal. It half-heartedly in 2000 turned it into a canvas for every fear and faith. You think of pilgrims, their candles glowing, seeing warnings in today's wars or warming skies. You think of skeptics rolling their eyes, calling it a relic of a superstitious age. Both are right, in a way. The secret's a story we tell ourselves, about divine plans or human flaws. You chuckle softly. Humans love a mystery, don't we? It's like we're built to chase shadows, even when they lead nowhere. Now let's ground this in history. The Fatima apparitions, declared authentic in 1930, shaped modern Catholicism, drawing millions to pray for a world the Virgin saw suffering. The Third Secret's secrecy, though, made it more than a prophecy. It became a test. Did the Church hide it to protect you, or to protect itself? Historians still argue, whether the Vatican feared panic or power loss, a quirky tidbit. In 2017, a Fatima priest said the secret's lesson was simple. Pray, always. You smile? Prayer? After all this drama, that's the takeaway. But maybe it's enough, a quiet anchor in a noisy world. You're no longer in the archive. You're somewhere softer, a place of your own making. The secret's weight lifts like fog burning off at dawn. You picture the Cova da Iria in 1917, 3 kids kneeling before a glowing lady. Their story, hell, war, a hidden truth, feels distant yet close, like a lullaby you half remember. You wonder what you'd ask Lucia if you could. Was the secret meant to scare us or save us? Did she ever doubt? The questions fade, unanswered, and that's okay. Some truths are meant to stay just beyond the veil, guiding you without being grasped. Let's slow down. The third secret, whatever it holds, reminds you of faith's delicate dance, trusting what you can't see, questioning what you're told. You think of the popes who wept, the pilgrims who prayed, the skeptics who
scoffed. They're all part of this, bound by a need to make sense of the unknown.
You can almost feel the rosary beads, smooth and cool, slipping through your fingers. The secret's not a puzzle to solve, it's a story to carry, a whisper that says the world's bigger than you know. You chuckle one last time, leave it, to a prophecy to make you feel small and infinite at once. You're ready to rest now. The stars above Rome blur, softening into a gentle glow. The third secret fades, not solved but softened, like a candle burning low. You're safe here, wrapped in the hum of your fan, the quiet of your room. Let the mystery drift, let the questions dissolve. The Virgin's light, real or not, shines somewhere, and that's enough for tonight. Close your eyes, breathe deep, and let the world spin on without you, just for a little while. You're lying in bed now, the world outside growing distant, like a ship fading on the horizon. The third secret of Fatima, with its bishops and ruins, feels like a dream you're already forgetting. You don't need to solve it, not tonight. The stars are still there, beyond your window. And the pilgrims are still praying, their candles, a soft glow in your mind. You're part of something vast. Faith, doubt, the quiet search for meaning. Let it rest. The archive's doors are closed, the prophecies tucked away. Your breath slows, matching the gentle hum of the night. The Virgin's voice, if it ever spoke, is a whisper now, urging peace. You're safe, held in the cradle of a story older than time. Drift, dear listener, into the calm where secrets don't matter, only sleep. Sweet dreams.